Most of us did not see this problem coming. And even when we did, we didn't take it seriously enough. What if the very thing that keeps breaking you, the heartbreaks, the ghosting, the women who lose interest the second you get close, was never about you at all?
The strongest men aren't the ones who hold on the tightest. They're the ones who've learned how to let go without fear. And that's what draws people in, not because you need them, but because you don't. This video isn't for the faint-hearted, it's for the man who's tired of being confused, tired of being overlooked, tired of doing everything right and still ending up alone. Today, we're going to tear the mask off attraction and expose the brutal biological game being played underneath. The truth will hurt, but it will also set you free. The lie you've been sold. Your focus is your currency. Spend it wisely. If it's constantly wrapped around how to make her stay, you've already lost your center. Shift it. Point it toward building, toward strength, discipline, purpose. Toward the man you're becoming, not the one she may or may not choose. You were taught that love is a reward for being good. That if you treat her right, listen when she talks, open up when you're hurting, she'll stay. She'll see your effort, feel your heart, and love you even more. But if that were true, then why do so many good men end up alone? Why do the most consistent ones get ghosted, friend-zoned, or walked over? If your life is built around being loved, then anyone who offers affection holds the keys to your peace. That's not love. That's dependency. And dependency makes you easy to manipulate. That idea, the whole love wins if you're nice enough story, is a lie. A comforting illusion dressed up as virtue. And most of us bought it because it gave us hope. But Schopenhauer didn't care about hope. He cared about truth. And the truth is, what we call love is rarely about soulmates or shared values. It's biology, doing what it's programmed to do. It's nature using desire as bait to get two people to bond long enough to make a baby. That's the raw blueprint underneath the romance movies and dating advice. That's the engine, and once you see it clearly, you can't unsee it. Love, as you were sold, isn't built on fairness or effort. It's built on instinct, and instinct doesn't care how good your intentions are. Think about the times you've seen the guy who gave everything, his time, his loyalty, his heart, get passed over for someone who barely showed up. Not once, not twice, over and over. It feels cruel, like the universe is broken. Schopenhauer understood this before dating apps, before TikTok, before hookup culture. Women, like all of us, are shaped by the pull of biology. And biology doesn't care about your feelings, it cares about survival. When a woman chooses, she's not consciously thinking about power or genes, but deep down her wiring looks for strength, someone who can protect, provide, and elevate her offspring's chances. That's not a fairy tale, that's evolution. So when the good guy shows up with flowers, consistent texts, and emotional support, he's seen as safe, but not necessarily valuable. It's not that kindness doesn't matter. It's that kindness without strength doesn't register the same way. Because biology doesn't ask, is he nice? It asks, can he lead? Can he protect? Can he win? You can hate that system, or you can study it. Adapt to it, master it, because once you stop begging biology to be fair, you start learning how to win on its terms. And that changes everything. Here's the most brutal truth you'll ever hear, and the one most men spend their lives avoiding. Loyalty doesn't guarantee love. You can be the most consistent man in her world, show up every time she calls, wipe every tear, sacrifice sleep, dreams, time, and still watch her drift away like none of it ever mattered. Because deep down, biology doesn't reward devotion, it scans for strength. When your entire world revolves around her, when you seek her validation more than your own peace, she doesn't see it as romantic, she sees it as needy. And neediness? It triggers the exact opposite of attraction. It whispers weakness, and weakness is repulsive, not because she's cruel, but because her biology tells her, this man can't protect me, can't lead, can't hold his ground. Your presence has to feel like a fortress, not a cushion. If she senses that your emotions hinge on her moods, that your identity crumbles when she pulls away, she won't feel loved, she'll feel burdened. That's why the good guy so often finishes last. He believes love is earned like a badge, when in reality, it's granted to those who carry themselves like they don't need it. Not because they're cold, but because they've already built the fire within. There's a reason the guy who barely replies, who seems like he has 100 other things going on, ends up the one she obsesses over. It's not that he's cold, it's that he's centered, solid, untouched by the emotional chaos that pulls most men under. He's not scrambling to prove his worth. He already knows it. And that energy, that quiet confidence, it's magnetic. Schopenhauer didn't describe this as arrogance. He described it as natural selection in action. When you don't need her approval, it signals one powerful truth. You have options. And that changes everything. Because the moment she senses you're not waiting around for her to validate you, her curiosity kicks in. Her instincts get activated. She starts wondering, who is this man? Why isn't he chasing me? What does he have that others don't? You shift from background noise to the main event, not by doing more, but by doing less from a place of power. Not apathy, but presence. You're no longer orbiting her world. You've become your own gravitational pull. And when your focus returns to your mission, your growth, your vision, that's when she feels the need to earn your attention. That's when the whole dynamic flips. Modern society loves selling the dream that dating is fair, that everyone plays by the same rules, that being kind and respectful is enough to win someone's heart. But deep down, we all know that's not how it works, because while the world preaches equality, biology runs on hierarchy. It doesn't care about your intentions, it cares about results. And in the dating world, that means power. Nature never promised a level playing field. It's not built for fairness, it's built for survival. And women, wired by millions of years of evolution, play the role they were designed for. They choose. Not out of malice, but out of instinct, out of a deep, unconscious drive to secure the strongest possible future for themselves and their offspring. That strength doesn't always come with a six-pack or a bank account. Sometimes it's how you carry yourself. The tone in your voice, the boundaries you enforce. Emotional control, social influence, and self-respect are the new survival signals. Schopenhauer saw it clearly. Attraction is a process of elimination, not participation. And if you don't understand how you're being measured, you're not even in the game. You're just hoping. But hope isn't strategy. Awareness is. And the man who sees the rules can finally stop losing. You think you're being respectful, attentive, the kind of man she says she wants. You drop plans when she needs you. You answer instantly just so she knows she's important. You soften your words, hold back your real thoughts, and apologize even when you've done nothing wrong, just to keep the peace. It feels like you're being thoughtful, but to her biology, you're just becoming predictable. And predictability kills tension, it kills attraction, because when she knows exactly how you'll react, when every move you make is about pleasing her, there's no fire left to chase. You're safe. And safe isn't sexy, it's static. You've become background noise. She can control the rhythm, and that deep down bores her instincts. You're not losing because you're weak. You're losing because you're easy to figure out. Schopenhauer didn't tell men to be distant or cruel. He told them to be clear. Clear about what they want, clear about what they won't tolerate, and most of all, clear that their purpose will not shrink to fit someone else's comfort. When you stop performing and start leading with truth, something shifts. You stop begging for connection and start commanding respect. And that shift is where real attraction begins. When she pulls away, gets cold, flirts with other guys, or starts unnecessary drama, it feels personal, like a direct attack on your worth, but it's not. It's about the story her emotions are telling her in that moment. And in that moment, she's not looking for a fixer. She's looking for an anchor. Not someone to solve her storm, but someone who doesn't get pulled into it. That's what she's really testing, your stability, your emotional frame. And if you chase her mood swings, if you try to win her back with validation, comfort, or apologies for things you didn't do, you've already lost the frame. Because the second your sense of self becomes dependent on her affection, your value drops. But when you hold your ground, when you don't react with desperation or fear, something shifts. She starts looking at you differently. That calm energy becomes rare. That silence becomes magnetic. She starts wondering why you're not affected, why you don't flinch, and suddenly your emotional approval becomes the reward she's chasing. That's the paradox. The more you chase, the more she runs. But when you stop needing her to feel okay, you become the only man in the room who truly commands her respect. Because now, you're untouchable. Most men walk around believing they're powerless in love, that they're being played, used, discarded. But here's the hard truth. Most aren't victims. They're volunteers. No one forced them to give up their ambition, their purpose, their peace. They gave it away willingly the moment they made a woman the center of their emotional universe. Every time you chase her validation at the cost of your values, you hand over control. Every time you tolerate disrespect just to keep her close, you trade power for proximity. You keep telling yourself you're being patient, understanding, loyal, but really you're shrinking, disappearing, hoping that sacrifice will be enough to earn love. It won't. You can opt out. Not from connection, not from women, not from love itself, but from the illusion, from the lie that your worth depends on her attention, from the false belief that devotion equals value. Schopenhauer didn't tell men to withdraw in bitterness. He offered something better, freedom. The moment you stop begging for fairness and start building a life that's so full, so rich, so unshakably yours, female behavior stops controlling you. You no longer need to win her over because you've already won yourself. And that's the only victory that lasts. The men who win this game don't have magic looks or secret charm. They're not more talented, they're just anchored in something deeper. While most guys are caught in the loop, checking their phones, chasing affection, overthinking every word, these men are locked in on their mission. They're building, creating, evolving, not for attention, for purpose. They wake up with something bigger than validation driving them, a vision, a craft, a fire they stoke every single day. And that focus, it shifts everything. It changes how they move, how they speak, how they carry themselves in every room they enter. That's the energy women feel. Not desperation, direction, not emptiness hoping to be filled, but wholeness spilling over. And in that space, attraction flips, because when a man is so consumed by building a life he's proud of, love stops being his fuel and starts becoming the bonus. The prize isn't getting her. The prize is becoming someone who doesn't need her to feel whole. And that kind of man, he doesn't get chosen by default. He gets pursued by those who recognize his value. Because when your life is rich, when your vision is clear, and your energy speaks louder than your words, she doesn't complete the story. She just gets lucky enough to be part of it. Let's stop with the abstract and get practical, because Schopenhauer didn't just expose illusions, he showed a way out. If he lived today, his advice wouldn't be wrapped in mystery. It'd be simple: master your money, your mind, and your body. That's the trifecta. That's where your real power lives. When you control your income, you control your life. You're no longer stuck in a relationship because you can't afford to leave. You're not tolerating disrespect because you're scared of starting over. Money isn't about greed, it's about freedom. And freedom is what makes a man untouchable. And finally, treat your body like the temple it is, not for vanity but for discipline. Because a man who commands his physical space is harder to shake mentally. He knows how to show up even when it's hard. Master these 3 pillars and suddenly, you don't need to chase validation. You radiate it. You become the one who chooses, not the one waiting to be chosen. Power doesn't come from control, it comes from detachment. The second you stop needing her to stay is the exact moment she starts wondering why you're not holding on. The minute you stop chasing is when the dynamic flips and suddenly you're the one she can't stop thinking about. Because in a world full of men desperate for attention, the man who stands still becomes a mystery. You don't have to shout to be noticed, you don't have to prove anything. When you're complete within yourself, when your life already feels full, people feel it. That calm, grounded energy hits different. The kind that makes others lean in, wondering where it comes from and how to get close to it. You're not bending, you're not begging, you're walking on your own path with your own purpose. And that's what makes you magnetic, because when you no longer need anyone to validate your worth, your presence speaks for itself. The strongest men aren't the ones who hold on the tightest. They're the ones who've learned how to let go without fear. And that's what draws people in. Not because you need them, but because you don't. This isn't about becoming cold or detached. It's not about building walls or turning your back on connection. It's about stopping the silent suffering you've normalized, the emotional bleeding that comes from constantly proving, chasing, hoping. It's about taking your power back without needing to take anyone else down. You reclaim your time when you stop overthinking her every move. You reclaim your energy when you stop pouring it into people who only show up when it's convenient. You reclaim your purpose when you realize your worth isn't measured by who stays. It's measured by how deeply you've rooted yourself in who you are. If your life is built around being loved, then anyone who offers affection holds the keys to your peace. That's not love, that's dependency. And dependency makes you easy to manipulate. But when you build your life around becoming whole, love turns into a bonus, not a lifeline. You no longer chase it because you don't need it. You attract it because strength draws in those who crave something real. And suddenly you're no longer looking for someone to complete you. You're inviting someone to join you if they add value. And that's where the game changes. Not through bitterness, through clarity, through self-respect, through becoming better. So what now? What do you actually do with all of this? The answer's simple, but not easy. You stop trying to win her and you start winning yourself. You stop measuring your worth by how she responds and you start measuring it by how you show up for your own life. Because the more time you spend trying to fix her moods, read her mind, or manage her emotions, the more you lose track of your own. Your focus is your currency. Spend it wisely. If it's constantly wrapped around how to make her stay, you've already lost your center. Shift it. Point it toward building, toward strength, discipline, purpose, toward the man you're becoming, not the one she may or may not choose. Because when you're rooted, really rooted, you don't beg. You don't chase. You don't shrink to fit anyone's expectations. You walk with peace. You speak with clarity. And you choose from a place of fullness, not emptiness. That's when everything changes, when she's no longer the mission but the bonus, when her presence is welcomed, not needed, because now you're not trying to be enough for her. You're becoming so complete, she has to rise just to keep up. If you've made it this far, you're not average. You're not some passive observer waiting for life to hand you meaning. You're someone who's felt the sting of being overlooked, misunderstood, or taken for granted, and decided not to stay there. That decision alone sets you apart. Because most people don't change. They cope, they complain, they numb out and call it peace. But not you. You're ready to shift, to stop bleeding energy into people who don't value it, to stop playing a game that was never designed for you to win by being soft, small, or scared. So here's your challenge. Drop a comment below with the words, "I choose me." Say it out loud if you have to. Not from ego, but from clarity. Because when a man finally sees what he's been giving away, his power, his time, his self-worth, he either collapses or evolves. Let them see the evolution. This isn't just a mindset shift, it's a life shift. One that begins when you stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself. You're not here to beg for love. You're here to build a life so strong, love has to rise to meet you. If you're ready for that, watch the next video. And thank you for being a part of Mosaic Mind. Your real life starts now.